highest mountain above sea level, located in the Himal subrange of the Himalayas, with the China-Nepal border running across its summit point. Its elevation of 8,848.86 meters, just over 29,000 feet, was most recently established in 2020 by the Chinese and Nepali authorities. Hello everybody. Welcome back, fact friends, to another Whispered Facts episode. Today, covering the topic of Mount Everest. Now, we all know Mount Everest. We've heard of it, but what do we really know about it? Well, today we're going to explore some interesting facts about the highest mountain on Earth, and following that, we will have another one of our 5-question multiple choice quizzes to finish the video. So be sure to stick around for that and see how many you can get right. Okay, so get comfortable, lay back, relax, and let yourself drift away as I whisper facts about Mount Everest. Located in Nepal and Tibet, Asia, Mount Everest was first identified as the highest peak in 1852, reaching about 29,031 feet at its summit, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It has been around for approximately 50 to 60 million years, and it so far remains one of the most iconic mountains on Earth. For this reason, Mount Everest is a magnificent tourist attraction in Asia, with at least 35,000 tourists paying a visit to it every year. That is a lot of visitors each year, but for me, I really can't think of anything I'd rather do less than visit a mountain. Never mind climb the mountain, it's something I will never see the appeal to doing, but each to their own, as they say. Everybody has different interests. What one person enjoys, another may not. In the 19th century, the Royal Geographical Society named Mount Everest after George Everest, the first British surveyor general in India. In Tibet, this mountain is known as Jammu summit from the southeast in Nepal, known as the Standard Route, and the other from the north in Tibet. While not posing substantial technical climbing challenges on the Standard Route, Everest presents dangers such as altitude sickness, weather and wind, as well as significant hazards from avalanches and the Khumbu icefall. As of 2019, over 300 people have died on Everest, many of whose bodies remain on the mountain. When people die climbing Everest, their bodies are left on the mountain and become landmarks for other mountaineers, as it is a great challenge for anyone to carry or drag the bodies down due to the physical effort needed in the low oxygen environment. Wow, that is unbelievable. That's over 300 people have died on Everest. Not so much that 300 people or more have died, but the fact that their bodies remain on the mountain, it's quite a sad thing really, that the families of those people don't get to bury their beloved and they remain on the mountain. It's quite a sad fact, but that is how it is, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be a mountaineer climbing Everest and to come across another climber who has perished on the mountain. Yeah, I think it would be quite sad, and it would be a reminder to you that what you're doing is very dangerous, so you do have to be as careful as you can and follow all the climbing guidelines as best you can, and hopefully you will come out of it alive. Although Everest is the highest mountain above sea level, Hawaii's Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain base to peak at 33,500 feet, but only 13,796 feet is above sea level. Well, I think that's quite an interesting fact, and one I never would have imagined. My knowledge on mountains is fairly limited, of course, so I'm really enjoying this video so far, learning more about the mountain most of us have probably heard the most about in our lives. Mount Everest continues growing every year by at least 4 millimeters due to the geological uplift. It is for this reason that there are lots of contradictions and controversies surrounding the actual height of this mountain. So far, surveyors from different countries have measured the height of Mount Everest multiple times to determine the actual height. In 1921, British climbers made the first attempt to climb to the summit of the mountain. Since they never made it back alive, it is still not known whether they reached the peak or not. Sherpa people are one of the Tibetan ethnic groups. The biggest number of Sherpas occupies mountain regions of Nepal and the Himalayas. With time, they have genetically adapted to survive the harsh environment mountains have to offer. Sherpas are famously known for their super mountaineering skills. summits. They have managed to retain their culture while at the same time benefit from globalized technological advances. Sherpas have become the best guides on Mount Everest. They not only lead the way for the climbers, but also many Sherpas help with carrying supplies for the climbers. Mount Everest was first conquered on May the 29th, 1953 by Sir Edmund Hillary from New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa from Nepal. Yeah, I actually googled these guys to have a read about them, as I think this is a really important fact, as they were the first to ever accomplish the feat. So a huge respect to them for doing it. Despite the harsh climate around Mount Everest, plants still manage to thrive up to 5,750 meters high from the base of the mountain. Common plants on the mountain include, among others, bamboo, blue pines, birch, juniper, and rhododendrons. While there is limited vegetation, you'll find shrubs at altitudes above 18,864 feet. Mount Everest has two heights that are acceptable in both China and Nepal. With snow or ice cover on the peak, the height is 29,032 feet, while the rock height is 29,012 feet. While at least 35,000 people visit Mount Everest every year to view the scenery and experience the climatic conditions around it, only about 5,788 have managed to successfully climb to the summit and back down as of 2021. Okay, so yeah, we've heard that around 35,000 people visit the mountain every year, but only around 5,788 have accomplished the climb. So that's a pretty small percentage, but one you can understand at the same time. Because of its cold and unpredictable weather, climbers must be sure to get to the summit by 2 p.m. or else experience has shown that they should turn back to avoid being caught in the death zone or short of camp in feeling light and falling temperatures, not to mention bad weather. Lakpa Sherpa holds the title of the first Nepalese woman to climb Mount Everest. She is also in the Guinness World Records as the woman who has climbed this mountain the highest number of times. In 1975, Junko Tabai, a Japanese teacher, author, and mountaineer, became the first woman ever to climb to reach the mountain summit. She also went into the world records as the first woman to climb all the 7 summits. The actual climbing time from the lowest base camp to the summit is only a few days, but you have to descend as well. conditions to break camp and move on. It takes at least $30,000 US per person to climb Mount Everest. Wow, $30,000, that is amazing. I can't believe how much it costs to climb Mount Everest. Everyone has to pay a license fee to the Nepal government of $11,000 per person to climb the south face of Everest. You'd need to spend money on oxygen, equipment, supplies and transport. You also have to pay the Sherpas in your team and pay for their oxygen tanks, equipment and services. Yeah, so it's not cheap. If you want to climb Mount Everest, that is for sure, and the cost of it far exceeds what I ever would have imagined. So yeah, if you want to climb Mount Everest, not only do you have to have the skills in order to do so, you also have to have very deep pockets, it appears. According to the NNMGA, climbers use 7 bottles of oxygen on average on their way up and down Mount Everest. Climbers can inhale it at different rates, and if they consume it at the highest rate of inhaling, a bottle can last up to 5 hours. My goodness, 7 bottles of oxygen on average. That is a huge amount, and an additional weight to carry in your backpack as well. The people who attempt to climb Everest really are superhuman, you would have to say, and you can only applaud them for what they do. It really is tremendous. Although there is no living thing on top of Mount Everest, you can find animals such as the snow leopard, Himalayan yak, and Himalayan tahr at an altitude of 19,685 feet. Jumping spiders are the only animals permanently based on Mount Everest at an altitude of 22,000 feet. Jumping spiders hide in nooks and crevices on the slopes of Everest, making them one of the Earth's highest permanent residents. Yeah, I love facts about animals and how they adapt to their varying environments, like the reindeer, which I think is the only video I've done as of the recording of this video about an animal, and I do plan to do a lot more fact videos on specific species of animals, and maybe one day we'll look into the topic of wildlife on Mount Everest in more detail. Generally speaking, a helicopter can fly up to altitudes of 5,000 meters. In higher places like Everest summit, the low density of the air means that the propellers can no longer achieve lift. Air evacuation is not possible for those high up on Everest. The movie Everest tells the story of the mountain disaster in 1996. Parts of the action were filmed on Everest in a location with an altitude of 4,750 meters in Nepal. Most of the other scenes were filmed in studios. In 2005, a Nepalese couple got married on top of Mount Everest in a ceremony that took about 10 minutes. The deadliest year on Everest was 2015, when 19 people died on the mountain. A devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal, killing nearly 9,000 people and triggering avalanches on Everest. One avalanche swept through base camp, killing or injuring dozens of climbers and workers there. Wow, yeah, that is terrible. It's not something I recall happening, but avalanches are absolutely devastating. They just wipe out everything in their path, and there's nothing you can do if you get in the path of one. So yeah, that is terrible news. That 2015 was the year we had the most casualties on Mount Everest, when 19 people died. That is a staggering amount of people to die in 1 year on the mountain. In 2010, a 13-year-old American called Jordan Romero became the youngest mountaineer to reach the top of Mount Everest. There are about 17 routes to the top of the mountain, and the most followed ones are the South Colony route and the Northeast Ridge Standard route. Although experienced mountaineers say the overall difficulty of the two routes is comparable, the challenges are different. Nepal insists that anyone planning to climb Mount Everest must be 16 or over. China does not impose any age restrictions. The summit of Mount Everest has a temperature of about -19 and -36 degrees Celsius in summer and winter respectively, though it sometimes drops lower. As such, climbers face the risk of hypothermia and frostbite. Now that is seriously cold, as you would imagine it would be, but that's even colder than I would have guessed. Some serious thermals would be needed in those temperatures. I'm really a warm weather person, so to me anything to do with cold and ice just doesn't appeal at all. Even skiing or anything like that. Give me a beach and the sun any day over the cold, and I'm happy. That being said, skiing does look fun, and I'd definitely be open to going to one of those indoor ski places that has artificial snow, etc. I'm sure you've seen them before. They do look pretty good fun, I have to admit. In 1924, 13 men died on an expedition on Everest. Whether they summited or not has remained a mystery, although it is widely regarded as unlikely. No one died climbing Mount Everest in 1977, making it the safest year to date in the history of Mount Everest expeditions. In 1978, Italian climber Reinhold Messner became the first summit Everest without using supplementary oxygen. In 1980, he also made the first successful solo climb of Everest. Wow, that is surprising, and I wonder how exactly he achieved that. That really is an impressive feat given what we've learned today about how thin the oxygen is the higher you climb, and how many bottles of oxygen the average climber needs when climbing Mount Everest. So it is surprising that this Italian climber, Reinhold Messner, managed to reach the summit of Everest without using oxygen. That is amazing. The coldest month on Everest is typically January, when the average summit temperature is around minus 36 degrees Celsius or minus 33 degrees Fahrenheit. Most climbers summit during May, although ascents do happen during the autumn months and even occasionally in winter. Okay guys, so that concludes the facts portion of this video, and now we move on to the 5-question multiple choice quiz. So let's find out what you've learned from this video, and be sure to let me know in the comments how you get on. Okay, so question 1. In 1921, what nationality were the climbers who made the first attempt to climb to the summit of the mountain? Were they British, Italian, or French? And unfortunately, they didn't make it back alive, but if you said they were British, well done. You're off to a good start. Question 2. In what year were there no recorded deaths on the mountain, making it the safest year to date in the history of Mount Everest expeditions? Was it 1976, 1977, or 1978? And that's quite a tricky one there, I believe, but the correct answer is 1977. So well done if you got the right answer there. And moving on to question 3. Although Everest is the highest mountain above sea level, Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain base to peak. But where is it located? Is it Chile, Tanzania, or Hawaii? And well done. If you said Hawaii, you are absolutely right. So, question 4. What is the name of the spiders that are the only animals permanently based on Mount Everest? Are they leaping spiders, jumping spiders, or hopping spiders? And I'm actually quite interested to sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon.